Welcome, and thank you for joining me on the Path of the Seeker. We are celebrating the new moon in Aries, and we are going to do the astrology, the symbolism, and a little ceremony. And I'm going to read from my blog regarding the astrology because I like how it came out. And I always like having the chart here for you because personally I love to follow along with the chart, but I won't be pointing at anything. Now we mostly have tense energy with 5 squares. There is an energy in this chart that I can only summarize as one hand gives and another takes away. Mars, the host of this new moon, is in Cancer, whereas in a protective crabby mood, yet there is a supportive sextile to Mercury in Taurus. Our willpower, when thinking of ourselves, is supporting thinking things over. Our home and comfort seems to be on the line. We have another stellium in Aries with the Sun, Moon, Chiron, and Eris. The Sun and Moon are just shy of being conjunct Eris, and some suggest that they are conjunct still. But we also have Jupiter conjunct Eris. Eris is at 25 degrees, and that means that the energy of our shadow is being expanded during this new moon. This solar eclipse, combined with the fact the Sun and Moon are at 29 degrees, means this new moon packs a wallop around our collective shadow. The story behind Eris is that she is a rejected feminine. She should have been Planet X, but instead it was decided to downgrade Pluto and make him a dwarf planet instead of elevating Eris to a planet status. So even not only is the story where she's a rejected feminine, where she's the goddess of chaos and not accepted at a wedding or invited to a wedding, but she's also rejected by science as an actual planet. Now Mercury retrograde has joined Uranus and the North Node in Taurus. Money chaos is going to be a thing. Venus, the ruler of Taurus, however, is in the double-bodied sign of Gemini, bringing even more indecision and tension to this chart. Venus is also squaring Saturn in Pisces, rejecting the suggestion that we should be sacrificing our personal pleasure in the name of the collective. Most of the tension in the chart is coming from Pluto, that is squaring the Sun and Moon. Pluto is at 0 degrees of Aquarius, so it is at a very strong effect in this chart. Meanwhile, Pluto is in a supportive sextile to Neptune, which means it's groupthink holding the collective back. Black Moon Lilith, which represents all of our worst fears, is the other sticking point, squaring Mercury and Uranus and Taurus. Whatever we are considering and weighing regarding chaotic money situation, she is not happy with the situation either. Our fears are being accentuated. So yeah, this is a very rough and tough chart. However, we do have hope. And I'll get to that in just one moment. This isn't really a dark ceremony, even though it seems like there's dark stuff going on. We're going to light our intention candle here. So set your intention for whatever it is that you hope to achieve this moon cycle. With the emphasis on money, totally understand wanting to prosperity. And the reason I say that we have hope is because we have a lot of good things when it comes to the symbols. For the oracle card, I pulled Oh, That Gnome. And Oh, That Gnome from Brian Froud's Fairy Oracle reminds us of having a sense of humor and to expect the unexpected. Oh, that gnome is a bit chaotic. We might go into a situation expecting one thing and something totally different ends up happening. That is the mode of operation for Oh, That Gnome. So that's where I say we have a very whimsical new moon. It seems like it's very dire. It's going to be about money chaos, but whatever's going to come out of this might be a good thing. For the tarot card, we have the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is really interesting. This is the card for Taurus. And even though this new moon is happening in Aries, It is Taurus season. It is happening right at Taurus season, as a matter of fact. This should be the first day of Taurus season. So happy birthday to the Tauruses out there. And this is actually represents a state of mind. And the Hierophant has several symbols here and here representing Taurus. What's really interesting is the Hebrew letter Vav or Vav, depending on how you want to pronounce it or spell it. And this is either the nail or the link. And so when we're working with a Hierophant, it's actually a state of mind. And it's linking desire, which was represented by the lilies and the roses. And it's the two parts of our minds, our desires and our thoughts. In a way, the Hierophant's a bit like Odin, who has his two crows, thought and memory. And it's when we work with the subconscious and the superconscious, which the Hierophant himself represents, when these three aspects are working together, is the first hint towards a new concept, a new state of mind, a new paradigm. And finally, our indigenous moon is the planting moon. This is the second eastern moon of air. Air obviously involving the ideas, and this is the planting moon. So we've been drawing up our plans, we've come up with what we want to do, and this is the time to take some action. Now, for this full moon, I decided on some thistle tea. And thistle tea, for me, when I'm thinking too much or I'm anxious, this is the tea that I go to. It kind of cools off my thought process. And so I thought this would be very appropriate for working with the shadow. Because when you work with the shadow, you don't want any anxiety. And this tea really helps combat anxiety. We're going to pop our tea. Into our cup here. And the plant that is associated with the planting moon, according to Kathy Callahan in the Path of the Medicine Wheel book, which is what we follow when working with the 13 moons, is sunflower. So for air and water, I am working with this, let's see if I can get it to focus, sunflower essential oil from Eternal Essences. And we're going to do a sunflower ceremony here. So I've got some sunflower seeds, and in honor of planting moon, we are going to actually plant 3 seeds. I always plant 3 seeds, and it always seems to work. I'm kind of inspired by the story of the 3 sisters, which is you always plant corns with green beans and with pumpkins. And the reason being is that the 3 thrive together. So for some reason I always think of that when I'm planting, and I always do 3 seeds. So we have 3 seeds here. And each seed is a wish, an intention that we want to have fulfilled. So here's our first sunflower seed. Push that in. Cover it over. Our second intention, if I can hold it up for you. Our second intention. Push that down in there. And our third intention, which I dropped that seed. Pick it up. There's our third intention. Push that down in there. All right. Now I will water this and I will let you know how it grows. So that's our little ceremony. For the minerals, I'm going to be working with a clear quartz pyramid, which represents amplification. And it is a symbol for transmutation, going from the square to the single point of unity. Square representing earth. For the direction of air, I have a honey calcite. This yummy solar plexus stone helps you have the energy to get things done. It works with the willpower, and I think Mars needs every ounce of help that it can get right now. Then I have a carnelian heart, and carnelian is the caffeine of the minerals kingdom. It gives you the energy, the oomph to keep going, do what you need to do in order to succeed in the day, which I think we're going to need with all the fear going on. And I have a gorgeous lapis lazuli scarab, and this represents rebirth. It is a very powerful symbol. The scarab beetle in Egyptian mythology it's a dung beetle, so it lays its eggs in the dung and then it rolls its eggs towards the sun so that they hatch. And that's why it's seen as the symbol for rebirth. And then I have a malachite skull. And malachite is the doula stone, and in the skull it also represents rebirth. And I just wanted to do more of a whimsical setup with this new moon because it is so tense and because we received Oh That Gnome. The Hierophant in many ways is a teacher, and our teacher this full moon is Oh That Gnome, which tells you that it's going to be a difficult and interesting energy. So now we're going to go to the meditation. Give me one moment to get the Tibetan singing bowl, and that will be the end of our little ceremony.